It's just to promote allotments throughout the country. It's been in existence for many, many years now. A lot of allotments, our own included, have an open day during this week. A, to raise funds for the site, but B, to let people come and have a look and see what allotments are about, to purchase produce, etc., plants, and a bit of a social get-together.
And how much awareness is there for this National Week?
Not too great. It is obviously advertised within the circle itself, but with all of the education about health and fitness, it's important for people to be aware because you get a lot of exercise and a lot of fresh food.
So Steve, tell me what you do at the St George's Municipal Gardens and Allotments Association.
Well, we have 75 allotment plots on site, plus 8 raised beds for disabled use. These were brought on site, or were built on site for my colleague before me, the Secretary Tony Hallam. It took him a good many years to get the money raised and the grants, etc., to get these done. And about 7 different bodies now in Wolverhampton area actually benefit from the use of these raised beds because they're walled. They can be in a wheelchair and reach them and do some work. They can have learning difficulties, and there's a welfare hut for them to go and have a rest, shelter if it rains, etc.
How different is that to normal allotments around the West Midlands?
There are 1 or 2 that also have raised beds. Boundary Way is one in Wolverhampton, but most just have an allotment where it's manual digging. Some have water supplies, some don't. It's a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, it's well worth to eat your own food that you've grown.
Just how beneficial are these raised beds at the allotments, Steve?
It gives people an interest, and they can come, they can plant things, they can see it grow, and then obviously at the end of the cycle, they can eat it. So yes, it does give them an interest.
So Steve, I guess what I want to know is what is the most interesting thing about allotments?
One of the most interesting things is probably the community, because you get to meet a lot of people. There's a lot of people there that will give advice. They're from all nationalities. You see crops that you probably didn't even dream existed. But yes, it's a good life. It's a good community. It's a social thing. And at the end of the day, you've had exercise, you've grown produce, you've taken it home, you can freeze it, you can eat it on the day, and you can eat some of it within an hour's picking.
What type of things are grown?
Well, we have a lot of cabbages, things like that, brassica, our Asian community. There's lots of different crops. They have mooli, lots of different herbs, lots of different stuff. Cabbages, I grow fruit as well, people grow fruit. Potatoes, lots of onions, anybody and everybody. You know, we have teachers, retired business people, people from heavy industry. We have one guy who used to work in the steel industry, and when the firm closed down, they gave him some of the tools. And he's in his 70s now, and he still uses the fork that has 12 prongs on it. It's absolutely massive.
And I mean, I guess what kind of gets them drawn into owning an allotment?
I think it's basically having the chance to grow the vegetables and the fruit that you like, the fresh air, the exercise, and the community itself. Everyone normally gets on quite well, and we have a few laughs and a few jokes.
And so tell me about what people grow at the allotments where you're at.
They grow everything from herbs. We have one guy most of our Asian groups grow coriander, and the one guy actually uses double glazing to try and help us through the winter and the cooler months. But yes, we grow lots of different foods, lots of fruits, fruit trees, soft fruits, red currants, black currants, gooseberries, raspberries, blackberries, you name it, people will have a go and try and grow it.
And I understand that there's a lot of history in general behind allotments, as well as local history. Can you tell me a bit about both of them, please? Yeah,
the allotments started over a couple of centuries ago when people were poor. They were given little plots of land to help self-sufficiency. In the 1920s, especially in 1925, it became statutory that local councils couldn't sell off or hive off allotments without ministerial permission. I believe at one time, according to the National Allotment Association and Society, that there were over 1.5 million allotments. It's now down to about 330,000. But it's still an interest there, whereas people used to have it for the families, especially like the 3-day weeks in the 70s. It became very popular then to help grow your own food when people were on short time. We don't seem to get that so much now. There seems to be less young people coming in, and say a lot of us are in our 60s and 70s now.
Why do you think young people aren't interested, Steve?
I think it's the style of life now and the pace of life, you know, where both partners are probably out at work, they don't physically have the time. Allotments, you do need to put in the time to keep them weed free and to maintain them and to protect the crops.
I guess how important is it for people to grow their own food nowadays?
You can go to a supermarket, you can perhaps get a cucumber which has been in cold storage, bring it out. Within 3 to 4 days, even the vegetable chiller, it may be no good. You grow your own, you cut it, it will last 2 weeks. It's the same with potatoes, they will last now if they're stored till March, April next year. Cabbages, you can freeze some of the soft fruits. Things tend to last longer, and you know what's gone on there. Have there any sprays gone on? What's gone into the soil?
And we spoke about the community factor. I mean, just how beneficial is owning an allotment for the community?
I think it's very good because it brings people of all nations together. You know, we do have a laugh. We had an open day last Saturday. We had lots of people there. Some people bring their grandchildren or the children. They come to see what goes on, and it's just getting to know people, your neighbours as well as on the rest of the site.
And very quickly, before we go, Steve, tell me about some of the competitions.
During the summer we have a number of competitions. This Sunday we have a potato in a bucket competition, where potatoes grown in a plastic bucket, and it's the heaviest weight of potatoes and the largest tomato. A couple of packets of seeds are the first prize. Just something to think of interest.